What is good? What I want to do today is share with you how I learn songs. So, whether that be on bass, which is what I'm going to use as an example today, because I'm actually sitting down and learning a piece right now, or get six-string guitar, and even singing songs, that you have to come up with ways to remember. So, for example, right now I'm sitting down with the piece Beth by Kiss off the Destroyer album, and I'm doing it on bass. My daughter is gonna play it on piano, and we haven't decided about singing yet, who's gonna sing it. But what I'm gonna teach you is how I learn. So no matter what instrument you play, whether it be guitar or piano or bass guitar, it doesn't matter, you name it. This is how you can learn music, and it's quite simple. I was actually doing this without even realizing that I was doing it. And don't get me wrong, when I say simple, it takes work, but this process works. So for example, the song Beth, and I'm going to share with you my notes and how I learn it, but that song has 205 individual bass notes. Now, playing bass is crazy because I've played like rhythm guitar, six-string guitar. I know chords, I know bar chords, I can sing and play, but I always said I wasn't a soloist. Then I started playing bass and I realized almost the whole song is a solo because I play 205 individual notes. You have to know the timing, you have to know when you hold the note, when you stop the note, when you slide from one note to another, all of this. So it is a lot to remember. So how do we do it? So the first thing that I want to talk about is chunking. What I like to do is take the song and chunk it. So for example, with Beth, I chunk the song into 5 different chunks. So I have the intro, which is chunk 1, and then I do 2 more, the solo, and then the ending to make a total of 5. And when I do chunks, I try to have a starting point and a stopping point that works for me in my head. So one of the first things though, before you even start chunking, is you really need to know the song. You need to know the notes that you're gonna play. If it's lyrics that you're trying to learn, it's good to tell a story and kind of really be exaggerated with the story so it sticks. But since we're focusing on instruments, I'm gonna stick to that right now. I break it into chunks and I learn basically small pieces. In this case with Beth, I learned 5 individual pieces. So they're like mini songs, but they go in order. Once you know the song, you can start chunking. Then when you chunk, once you have a chunk, you learn another chunk or the next chunk. Then what you try to do is link the 2 chunks together. So it's 2 chunks linked, and now you have one longer chunk, until ultimately you're gonna add the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. You'll be able to link them all together and you're playing the entire song. So, number 1, know the song, know the notes, know it. That way when you're playing it in time with the song. You're holding the notes, you're stopping the notes, you're doing all of that. You're knowing the notes and what they should sound like. So for example, when I'm practicing and I hit the wrong note, because it's going to happen, and it does happen, especially while learning it, you're gonna know that was wrong. And then you're gonna be able to rewind, go back, look at your notes, and try to play that chunk again. So chunking and linking and knowing the song, that is very crucial to learning how to play an entire song. A test that you can give yourself is this. Without your instrument in your hand, without hearing the song, by playing it, like audio, can you hum the song? Can you hum the notes or the chords that you are going to play? If you can hum it, you know it, and then you can start chunking and linking. Once you start linking, chunk more, and then link it to the previous part. You have a larger chunk now, you learn a new chunk and you link it, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, you want to do this and work at it until you can play the whole song. I'm telling you, at first, sometimes it's going to seem almost impossible, but it's not. The more you do this, the easier it becomes, and that's how you learn a song. So I remember learning, and I will link it into the description or maybe link it as the related video. But I did a bass play along, finger style. I wanted the challenge, Sober by Tool. And I had so many tiny chunks, and he played these little intricate things different ways, almost it seemed like every time. But I wanted to be true to what I felt was the most accurate version that I can come up with from doing research, watching other people, pulling the right tabs and notes and learning it that way. So I chunked and linked and chunked and linked. What you don't want to do is, it's okay to do this with the first chunk, because I don't recommend starting 2 different chunks at once. Learn your first chunk, learn your intro, get it down. That's going to give you some confidence. Then start your second chunk. Then it's time to go back and forth, okay? If you start getting to where you're frustrated, you keep missing a note on, and you're practicing chunk 1 for, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes, put it down and go to chunk 2. Even though you don't have this, your brain needs time to process. Go work at chunk 2, find some success there. And if you're still within the allotted practice time, let's say you gave yourself an hour or 45 minutes, and you're gonna break it up into 30 minutes on one, 30 minutes on the other. If you are working on your second chunk and you have 10 extra minutes and you want to go and devote it back to the first chunk again, do that. But it's better to say, I'm only going to give this X amount of time, and I'm only going to give this X amount of time before I move on. Because ultimately, so for example, me right now, I'm chunking and linking 5 different sections. So naturally, the first 2, because I learned them first, are the easiest, because I've been playing them the longest. I know them the best. Now I've gotten to where the solo, the part where the piano is playing the solo, has gotten easier, and then we're chunking in the middle section and the ending. But that's how I do it. So let me switch the camera and share with you my notes, because something else you're gonna learn when you see my notes is I write specifically, this is chunk 1. And sometimes at certain areas, I'll write a little note like, this is what he's saying at this point, or hold this note longer, slow down. I'll write little notes like that, and it helps me remember and learn. All right, so let's switch the view and go take a look at the actual notes that I'm using right now for Beth. Okay, so I'm showing you my notes for Beth. And again, this is 205 individual bass notes for the whole song. You can see the intro is chunk 1, and at the very bottom left, you see I start chunk 2, and then I have some notes there kind of at the bottom where I slide. I have added a slide into that note, and then if you look on the next page, it continues with chunk 2, and at the bottom you can see where I have that 1 1 3 3. Beth, what can I do? So I'm saying that's the notes, and that's what he's saying at that time. Now these notes they might not mean things to you, but it means things to me, or it did when I was learning it. Eventually I put down the notes and I'm playing the entire song without looking at any of this. So we're on page 4. You're seeing the last bit of chunk 3 and chunk 4, which is the solo. And then you'll see it continue here, chunk 4 solo, chunk 5, which is the final piece. So it's the ending piece after the solo until all the way to the end. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this one. That's how I learn songs. Finally, I do need to let you know that once you do this and have the song, how do you keep it? So you have to do something called recall. Meaning you have to play it periodically without looking at your notes so that you keep it in your brain. If you don't recall it, you are going to lose it as time passes. So there are some songs that I've just been playing forever. So for example, In the Pines, the acoustic version that Nirvana made very popular, I think we ultimately maybe credit Leadbelly, and who knows, it's a folk song, so it goes back and back. But what I'm getting at is I've been playing that song forever. I can pretty much pick up a 6-string and play that song. I've recalled it to where it's really committed to memory, but I've done it for years, okay? There's other songs, like the first song I think I learned on an acoustic guitar was About a Girl by Nirvana. that's a song that right now I can play it, but I don't have it committed to recall because I don't play it enough. So you have to recall if you want to keep it. The way musicians build up a library, so you hear, some musicians have anywhere from 10, which is the smallest amount to play like a 10 song set, up to 40 and 50 songs on their set list that at any given night they can say, this is the set list from that 40 or 50 that you're supposed to know being a member of this band, and this is the one we're going to play. So they have to recall those 40/50 songs quite frequently to keep them there, unless they've been doing it forever. For example, with me, Where'd You Sleep Last Night, or In the Pines as it's also called. That one is one I can pick up and pretty much play accurately every time. Okay, I hope this has helped. It's helped me, and I wanted to share it with you. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. I'm here to help you out. Peace. Go out there and learn some music. Catch you on the next one.